All right, setting. Let's do this. Why does setting matter? Well, you know what? Before we even talk about why it matters, let's talk about what it is. Because I think a lot of people would just think, setting. This video is set in a small room with stuff over here and a computer over there that you can't see, right? It's a place. But that's not always true, right? It's a place or a time period. It's a social construct, right? Something that characters are living within. Okay, now there's different kinds of settings, right? You might see a macro setting where like a character is living in a town. Okay, awesome. They live in a town. That is part of the setting for sure. But then if you see characters going to a store, right? You see characters going to their house. Those become micro settings, right? So the town is kind of big picture setting, and then the store and the house are micro settings. And what do each of these different things mean for the character, right? If you behave one way in your house, you may behave differently in the store, right? If you decide that you want to, as a silly example, walk around in your underwear at home, no big deal. Nobody cares, right? Especially if you live alone, like it doesn't matter. But then you go to a store, if you try to walk around in your underwear in a store, well, what's going to happen? Well, some stuff's going to go down. You're probably going to get asked to leave. You might get charges filed against you, right? All of a sudden now it becomes a big thing. Now, like I said, silly example. But the reason that I bring it up is because then you can clearly see in our lives, our setting plays a big deal. Our setting makes a big impact on how we interact with the world around us, what we do, what we think, how we understand things. And that's the same thing for our characters, right? So like I said in the characterization video, the setting and the characterization work together, right? As well as things like point of view, tone is impacted, right? All of these different elements work together to show you something. Now, can you make an argument that the setting makes an impact? Absolutely. If you look at the sample document, you can see that the setting does make a difference. Now, you may not have read A Good Man is Hard to Find, but that's okay, because ultimately, the story never tells you anything about what the setting symbolizes, right? But an astute reader will look at the setting and say, okay, well, this happens on a small dirt back road in the middle of nowhere, absolutely nowhere. There's a ravine, there's a forest, right? All of these things are isolating elements. Does the story tell us that? No, they don't. The story does not tell us that these are isolating elements. But if we think about it, we realize that like, hey, forest blocks view. A ravine, you can only see into a ravine, which is like a ditch, from a certain perspective. If you're looking level, right, you're not going to see what's happening kind of in the ditch underneath. Not going to happen, right? So all of these things work together to show isolation. Does the story tell us this like out loud? No, that's the quiet part, right? But what you need to do is read the story, understand these things, right? Goodness, would you want to be in this situation where you're alone on a road in the middle of nowhere, your car breaks down, or, as in the case of the story, right, there's a car accident. Would you want to be in that situation, right? There's a forest on one side, a ditch on the other. You can't really go anywhere. And then add into the fact that, these kind of criminals, right, which of course the story kind of interacts with a little bit, what makes a criminal, that kind of thing. But really, like if you think about them stereotypically, people who are okay with stretching or breaking the law, would you want to be in a situation where you are 100% alone with them, especially if you know that they have, murdered people? I would venture to say probably no, right? And so now that brings on a different element. So the plot does intersect with setting, just like the plot intersects with characterization and point of view. All of these different things, right? We see them coming together. Now, we really want to keep in mind, okay, well, what are settings that are available? Like I said before, it's a place, it's a time period, it's a social time, right? What are the values of society? Because in a sense, setting is also about people, right? a lot of things in our lives, just like in our characters' lives, are built on constructs. Now, why did I use air quotes for the word constructs? Because ultimately we create them. Does time actually exist, right? You could say, absolutely. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I eat breakfast by 6:20. Then I leave for work at 7 o'clock, right? This time is real. But then when you think about it, like, time changes based on your time zone. So is it constant? Not really, right? So we have this construct of time, just like we have the construct of social expectation. To go back to the silly example of going to the store in your underwear, if society allowed for you to go to the store in your underwear and that wasn't a big deal, like say people didn't wear clothes, I would hate that society. I really love clothes. But, if society didn't expect you to wear clothes, well, then the world would be very different, right? So you really want to think about things in terms of these constructs as part of the setting, because they really are the building block of whatever society you're looking for. And you can't go in expecting the constructs to be the same as the constructs that we live by every day, because they may be different, right? Different cultures have different constructs. They have different expectations. So you want to think about, where this story is coming from. Is this a traditional, family in the United States that you're seeing? If it is, well then, probably you can use the constructs that we deal with every day. Is this a story that's based on Mars in 2030? That's actually too close. 2200, right? That's not going to work, because guess what? Things might be super different. So you have to pick up the breadcrumbs. What is it that society expects? What is this place that's governing these constructs? What is this time period that's governing the constructs? So think about it not only as time, place, but construct. Okay? What is it that these things help establish as the norm for your character? Okay? So that's how you want to think about setting. Now, silly examples in here, but also things that I think will help you really think about how is this relevant, right? How can I use this in an essay or a conversation? All right, so if you have any questions, let me know. Send me a text, give me a call, come into office hours, talk to me after class, all of those things, schedule a meeting. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.